This is Unscripted Reactions, COVID Stories. I'm your host, Aaron David Roberts, and on this week's episode, we're listening to small business owners.
We don't know what's gonna happen with us, honestly. I don't think we'll be able to come back from it, not for a while.
I shouldn't have to go into debt over this, first of all. Second of all, I got denied and haven't been given any reason for it.
You know, those bills for your offices and your lights and everything business-wise that you still have to factor in your budget, you know, the first is coming up and you know, what are you gonna do?
Being a small business owner myself, it seemed appropriate that we follow up our first episode on the economy with a more in-depth look at small businesses and their COVID stories. I spoke with a handful of small business owners during the week of March 23rd and found that pretty much everybody was in the same boat I was in. The beginning of March, for a large majority of us, was business as usual. And then, as Alex, who owns Tenamox, a comfort footwear store in Newport Beach, put it, the tap was shut off rather quickly.
I'll be honest, in my industry, I'm trying to think when I went to a shoe show, which this was before the shutdown.
Yeah.
And everybody was scared. In the case of in the shoe industry, our shoes were already here. I just thought it was going to, slow down production in the fall.
Yeah.
And that is not, this wasn't a trickle. This was a deluge. This was awful. Really, once it started getting scary, it didn't matter. There were no people on the street. There were no people walking in. There was a big group of people that just shut down completely, and nobody. I didn't have any customers.
Roderick, the owner of Katie Security, a private security group in Southern California, and Tracy, an esthetician who owns her own business in San Diego, were both at conferences during the last weekend before stay-at-home orders were enacted. They noticed how quickly things went from normal to completely different by the time they came home.
The second week of March, we were in Las Vegas for some business meetings and whatnot. They came back Friday of that week, and by Monday, things had completely changed. We were there for like 3 or 4 days. Things had completely changed here in California. We're like, wow. You just cannot expect such an event. You know what I mean? It has never happened.
I was actually out of town in Arizona on a road trip for some professional training on the weekend of the 13th and 14th. And so we were kind of watching the news while that was happening and like not really eating out as much as we normally would on a kind of business trip. And when I got home, I had a full day of clients on Tuesday, about 4 or 5 people. And I saw everyone that day, but throughout the day was just receiving a lot of text messages from the salon owner who I rent space from and a lot of the other stylists, like, we're not coming in this week, you should shut down too. It's time to, to protect our communities and self-isolate before it's even been mandated. So the salon where I work out of closed. I was the last person working that day on Tuesday, I think it's the 17th.
Josh, who runs a marketing company in Alabama, serves a variety of small businesses across the country, and they have all also had their income stream stopped.
Well, I kind of have an interesting kind of situation. I've got customers from plumbers to roofers to life coaches to, really just anybody and everybody, any type of small business. I've got roughly about 60 people nationwide that I deal with, but everybody's kind of the same deal right now. It's really slow. Nobody's spending money because nobody's making money.
Yeah. I also found that businesses that rely on other businesses or events for a large majority of their income were just as impacted as any other industry. Roderick started seeing concern from his clients as early as late February.
But then about a month ago, I started hearing a lot from the bigger gatherings such as religious organizations and the adult daycares especially. They started saying that we might decide to cancel some of our events and try not to bring all these people together, especially the adult daycares. They're mostly hosting people who are 65 and above, which are more prone to contracting the virus.
Yeah.
And about 2 weeks ago, when the governor and the president and the mayor and everyone started getting together, that's when they started really giving thoughts to it. And about a week and a half ago, they shut down all the services. All the religious institutions, they're completely shut down. We lost about 5 of our bigger religious institutions that we provide security services for them, and also a couple of our adult daycares. So they're completely shut down, no business, no one's in and out. Pretty much that's it.
Both Nicole, who owns a food truck in Miami, and Summer, who runs a brewery hopping tour company in San Diego, saw event cancellations come in bulk, with a lot of uncertainty in their future calendars as well.
All of a sudden, we started getting emails of events canceling.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa, this is getting real.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about huge events that started canceling. Ultra here started, and when all those things starts to hit, you start seeing the change.
Yeah.
Like I said, we really didn't notice till last week because it wasn't really taken serious until then, that we started getting a crap load of emails, event after event being canceled. And we're like, what's going on? How are we going to pay this? This food truck that we have now, it's a brand new food truck because we got robbed and vandalized last year.
Oh, wow.
So now, we have a loan to pay. I literally, right before this whole thing, I just paid $4,000 to move.
The next tour that is still on the schedule that hasn't moved is the end of May.
Okay.
So right now, the schedule is cleared until the end of May because I think it's fair to assume that the schools are assuming by the end of April, we're going to have telelearning. And that says to me the schools are not going to be back in session by the end of April.
Yeah.
So end of May is the next tour on the calendar. And at this point, they haven't canceled. But anything over the summer that was supposed to book our large corporate groups in July and August that we pitched a year ago, all of them are on hold.
While some businesses were facing an abrupt lack of customers, others preemptively saw the impact on their industry coming. Cynthia, who owns a childcare business in Georgia, and Heather, who owns a salon in La Jolla, both closed their businesses before they were shut down by state orders.
Well, I mean, since this whole thing has hit the news, honestly, as the business owner, I mean, it weighed a lot on me. Just a little background about what my business does. I have babysitters and nannies that go to parents' homes. So in opposed to, regular daycare settings. And man, I mean, just making a decision to pull the plug just for safety reasons, that's been weighing heavy on.
I decided on my own to shut my business down about a week before the state told us that we needed to close our businesses.
Okay.
I think that was on the 19th. It was last Thursday. I had already stopped taking appointments for about a week. I was having a massive amount of cancellations. Probably about 75% of my clients were already canceling. So I just took the initiative to go ahead and close down already. I wasn't feeling comfortable just because the nature of my work is being in such close proximity with people. And then we got the order on Thursday afternoon telling us that by midnight we were going to have to close, so there really wasn't that much notice or that much.
Trisha, a salon owner in Carlsbad, California, changed up her normal routine the week before the closure orders were enacted.
As that week went and the mandate was coming, I decided to switch up my schedule. So I saw the writing on the wall. I started to work more days to spread out people so that I could keep a little more distance between guests, and then also make sure I was really cleaning between each guest. And so I think it was really like the week before the mandate hit that people really started to feel it. And I probably had a total of 4 cancellations, all of which were my older clients who had.
Something that surprised me, as it seemed to plenty of other small business owners I talked to, was a lack of any sort of epidemiological clause or coverage in business insurance for some type of pandemic or sickness like this that causes people not to be able to work. Cynthia and Summer were also surprised their policies offered no coverage for something like this.
A lot of business owners in my industry, they're still in shock. Come to find out, a lot of business insurance doesn't even carry epidemic or pandemic insurance coverage. So, those bills for your offices and your lights and everything business-wise that you still have to factor in your budget, the first is coming up and what are you going to do?
A big shock was that my general business insurance had 0 coverage for this kind of loss of interruption of service. I have tourism coverage, earthquake coverage.
Yeah.
And I think if my vehicle had been totaled in a car accident, because we use it for tours, I would have had a loss of business.
Yeah.
Right? But, all of a sudden, no one saw this coming. Insurance policies, I'm sure, will cover this in the future.
Most of the businesses I spoke with didn't have much ability to offer digital or online services during the pandemic. But Alex, the owner of Tenamox, noted that even those businesses that had the ability to make income from both a brick and mortar store and an online shop generally don't see a whole lot of money from online sales.
I do have an online store. I'm one of the, I don't want to say few, but it turns out there's a lot of small businesses that don't have websites.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I found out, because I have, a nice, I have multiple groups that I'm a part of, even on Facebook, and it turns out a lot of people weren't ready. And I mean, I might have an online store, but the fact of the matter is, for the stores that have brick and mortar and are considered omni-channel, which would be somebody with a mobile app, somebody with a website, and then somebody with a brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
Our online sales for like a whole year, 7%. 7%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's a trickle. Yeah.
Yeah. When this changed over, and 7% was high. 7% somebody like Nordstrom's that's like, really, really doing well.
Okay.
But like ours was around 3, which was for our industry, it was actually a pretty high standard for independents.
While e-commerce has grown in America from just 5% of total sales in 2007 to nearly 16% last year in 2019, the percentage per industry can vary widely, from 2% for places like grocery stores to sometimes more than 20% for some apparel stores. Alex is correct that small businesses generally don't take advantage of digital sales. A 2018 Forbes study found that only 28% of small businesses have a digital retail presence. Shifting to one of the types of small businesses that can't operate online or in person right now are some of the nearly 400,000 independently owned and operated beauty salons, hair parlors, spas, nail places, and more in the United States that account for over $20 billion in annual combined revenue. It had been on pace for an average growth rate of over 3% a year. Trisha and Noel, both owners of salons, feel the pressure of not being able to work with their clients or provide digital options.
Currently, we're working to stay in touch. We're working on what we can do to still offer a service to our clients virtually, which, is difficult when we are a hands-on service. The beauty industry is huge. And I think just in Carlsbad, there's easily over 50 salons. There are a lot of beauty salons, and we are all 100% in the same boat. We are a physical service. We have to touch people. We have to be present, right? And if we can't do that, then what?
I see my clients every 2 weeks. So
yeah.
It's going to be a really difficult adjustment for people. I think that the longer people put off personal services, that they're going to try to do things themselves or find a way to have an at-home solution for it if they're not able to go to a professional. One of the problems that we face with that is, even though the state says that our services are technically non-essential, many services provided in personal care and beauty industry are actually very vital to health and hygiene.
Tracy spoke to the social aspect of being a beautician and how she sometimes sees her clients more than she sees her own friends.
I'm really blessed. With my particular industry, I really rely on 15 to 20 people to support me on a regular basis. I have a mass population of clients, and all 15 to 20 people have been so understanding, and no one has pressured me or made me feel like, I'm disappointing them or letting them down. It's all been full feedback. We totally understand, and we're glad that you're protecting the community too. We'll see you when it's over. Stay safe. Miss you. And it's been really kind of a heartwarming interaction to kind of still check in with each other and be there, mentally as much as possible for each other. Yeah. And being there for people, because so many of our clients, I see people every 2 weeks. So I'm in people's lives. I'm getting the updates. We spend an hour or two together every 2 weeks. I see them more than I see my friends. So this absence is really, I think it's more of an emotional toll than anything. When we get together, it's just going to be probably tears and hugs. So what happened? I miss you. So it's a lot of intrinsic value in the service industry that I think definitely goes, undervalued.
But Tracy is also positive about business prospects once she is able to reopen.
We're going to be book solid once things open up again. Like, that's just the way it goes. Even in a recession, like, beauty services are still, like, people want them, they love them, they're hooked, it makes them feel good. It's a form of self-care. They don't give that up very easily.
Josh, on the other hand, spoke about how some of his small business clients are not feeling as positive about their economic situation or chances to reopen.
Everybody's just stopped. Nobody's spending money. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody's scared of what's coming. Everybody's scared of what's going to happen. The uncertainties of, what our government is doing right now is just, it's killing everybody. I just recently got off the phone with a t-shirt printer in the area that I work very closely with, and they're shutting down,
wow.
Possibly even closing the doors for good.
Nicole, the food truck owner in Miami, also mirrored this concern.
We don't know what's going to happen with us, honestly. I don't think we'll be able to come back from it, not for a while.
Yeah.
Because I might have to look for, a job at a restaurant. That's the only thing they're actually running now. My business partner might have to take up something else. We're both disabled as well. So it's just like, this is my only income.
You would hope for small business owners like Nicole that some of the small business loans being offered would be helpful so she could keep her business afloat. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for her or Alex, Heather, and Trisha. They all found flaws with the requirements, or in some cases were even outright denied without explanation.
Well, so we've actually looked into a few of the loans that you actually mentioned for small businesses. One of them it's pretty good. I mean, the first year it's like no interest, but after that it's like 12.5% interest. So yeah. It's kind of like, I did read up on the 1,200, but the thing is, like, how does it affect someone like me that last year maybe I could have cleared more than 75 because it's a business?
Yeah. But
in reality, a business can make $75,000 and I see maybe $20,000.
Yeah, exactly. After expenses, after paying employees.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So how are they really going to calculate those things for people like myself and my business partner? So I just wish we had a clear answer for business owners. I mean, there's not one clear answer. We've applied for 3 loans that are supposed to help us out, but they don't know when we're going to be able to receive an answer. And it's already going to be the first next week.
Yeah.
Let's just start with the SBA loan that they're trying to throw out there for us. The contingency of the SBA loan is that we maintain payroll. Most of us didn't. We just said, no, go, get out. We don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So that's one huge problem.
Yeah, so if your business is, no, that makes sense, yeah.
So there's one. And then the other side of that was, okay, those of you that held on to payroll, you have to maintain payroll for another 2 years in order for this loan to get waived, like the paying it back.
Yeah.
That means that we would be forced to, regardless of the situation, hold on to an employee. I'm not in that position, but a lot of people are. So, I mean, the guidelines for the SBA loan didn't apply. Don't apply.
Yeah.
To me, to the people that I don't know who the hell it applies to be honest. All of us smaller guys, we're not gonna be. It's not gonna help us. The other factor is just because you're giving us a bunch of money doesn't mean that we're gonna make 2 months worth of business, entire month of revenue as a nation.
For small businesses, I definitely think that there should be some sort of tax relief, rent abatement, something, because it's physically preventing me from going to work and doing my job, but all of my bills are still due. My rent for the studio is still due. My business is located in La Jolla, in San Diego. It's not a cheap area.
Yeah.
And without that steady income coming in, our hands are really tied as to what we can do. Small businesses like mine are going to suffer immensely from this, and I wish that there was an easy solution, and I really don't know. I think that $1,000 or $1,200 in everyone's pocket is it's a good thing, but at the same time, it's not going to save my business.
Yeah.
One of the solutions that they have offered us is the SBA small business loans, the disaster loans. I actually applied for it the other day, and I just got an email back this morning that my application was denied without any reason. So I've been seeing that a lot in the news, that they're saying, oh, this is a great option for small businesses. You can take out a loan. I shouldn't have to go into debt over this, first of all. Second of all, I got denied and I haven't been given any reason for it. So, I mean, we really don't have very many options at this point, and it's like everyone is just in limbo waiting for what's going to happen next.
I know there's the SBA, the loans that are being offered to small businesses. Again, that's first come, first serve. I can't imagine that you or I are the only ones that could apply for that, right? Yeah. So, it's just going to depend on what resources we have access to. And I don't know, I wish I had the answer for how they could help me more, but without them supplying some sort of income to me, there's not much.
I do find it disheartening that concerns voiced by small business owners back in late March ended up being totally valid as we sit here almost on May 1st. The larger companies who still had less than 500 employees, but had much more capital to weather a potential storm like this, like the Los Angeles Lakers, or Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, or Shake Shack, were seemingly placed ahead of small businesses in the processing of the first round of small business loans. While all three companies mentioned above have returned their loans, a lot of other publicly traded companies received a loan, while small business owners were left in the cold. Firms with fewer than 20 workers make up almost 90% of all small businesses, but just 8% of the small businesses that have applied for aid have received any money. Another 14% of small businesses are supposedly approved, but uncertain of the timeline when they might receive their first cash. Some small businesses have even filed a class action lawsuit against Wells Fargo, Chase Bank, and Bank of America, claiming they gave priority to their larger business customers when processing loan applications, even though the loans were supposed to be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. The suit claims in the final 3 days of the first round of funding, the number of approvals for loans under $150,000 surged by 70%, twice the rate of the largest loans of over $5 million, showing that banks front-loaded the larger loan requests early on. But even after the second round of $310 billion that's been approved by Congress on April 23rd raised the level of scrutiny for businesses so that bigger businesses with larger cash reserves might not be approved, there have still been reports of technical glitches with the website that banks and small business owners have been unable to access and submit their second applications. So Summer, like most of us small business owners, has been at least contemplating during quarantine that she might need to come up with some alternative forms of income, at least until she's able to bring her brewery tourism business back.
I have no idea how to have this come back. I actually, years ago, 1 year after we launched the business, I got my real estate license in 2008 and then never did anything with it because BrewHop took off. And so I actually went and got that in 2018, went and completed it. And I'm doing something to get a certification to be a transaction coordinator because I'm going to probably need a job when this is done. And I have 2 small kids. One of them I'm homeschooling right now because school's closed, potentially for the rest of the year. So I'm looking for a job I can do from home with my real estate license because, we're definitely impacted. My husband's also in beer. So he's continuing to work. And they will continue to keep them working as long as possible.
I wanted to end this week's episode on a little bit more of a higher note. I wanted to end with Tracy, who realizes that she and other businesses she knows might not be able to come back, at least not come back to the normal we were at in the beginning of March before all this happened. But she relishes in what working for yourself truly means. And as someone who's been in her position before, I found her words truly inspiring.
I mean, it's all across the board. I have people that are in unfortunate situations like we are, where we've got some grace with our landlords, but there are others that are just, they're really fearful of going out of business. And, a lot of people aren't going to survive if this goes on more than a month or two. So, which is something that I'm trying to be prepared for myself. And I just actually got off the phone with another really close colleague of mine who, she's afraid of going out of business, but at the same time, as self-employed people, I asked her, like, well, what does that mean though? Like, if you go out of business, like for me, worst case scenario, I will pick up like Postmates shifts or like get a side job, but I'm still going to keep the business entity and I'm going to, pump it back up and rebuild again. I started it from scratch. I can rebuild it from scratch too. So that's one of the things I do like, that it is a little bit more nimble for me, being that I'm completely independent and my potential is only limited by myself, as opposed to working for, a larger corporation where I might be, third tier management and not have as much influence or say over the fact that, hey, we should pump a lot of resources into our web store and make tons of money online during this crisis, versus, no, we don't see that as a priority. And you're laid off now. And then there goes your career for however long you've been working there. So it could, I think we have a lot of flexibility being independent contractors and gig workers. And I think that we all started from not really having much in the beginning. We all did paid our dues and did grunt work and worked for things. And, so we might just have to restart again and hopefully be better than ever.
Make no mistake, small business owners are the backbone of not just the American economy, but the American dream. We represent 44% of all economic activity in this country. We are the realization of that American dream. Whether you own a comfort shoe store, a security company, a beauty salon, a restaurant, or whatever other passion you followed to work for yourself and forge your own path in life, it's the single best thing I love about this country. So please, if you're a small business owner, just keep going. Try to weather the storm. And if you want to start a small business right now, don't be discouraged. Just redefine what failure and going out of business can mean for you. Because if you truly work for yourself, can you ever really go out of business? Until next week, stay safe, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Unscripted Reactions.